Hi, I'm Paula again. Thank you, Michelle, for stepping up in front of this scary crowd. And we love seeing young people who are willing to take the torch. My question's more for Maja. In California, Bill Monning's been trying to get our state to get their laws in alignment with international law. He's an international lawyer. And I'm wondering if you know of any organization or any organized effort toward that, because it seems like in the states you can do a little better than you can do in a national sphere.
This is on. That's a really interesting idea and an excellent idea that individual states can go further than what is possible at the national level to a certain extent. I don't know of any organizations off the top of my head that are working in that area, but I can make inquiries if you give me your contact details. There's one.
Oh, what did you say? Say that again?
Yeah, you can connect afterwards. Yeah.
David Hartsoe, I thank you both for your presentations. I've also been to South Korea, and what saddens me is the propaganda that we hear on whether it's North Korea, whether it's Russia and the United States. You know, mostly we just hear one side, and we hear a lot about the North Korean nuclear testing and missiles, et cetera. We hear nothing about the U.S. and South Korean nuclear weapons capable planes doing maneuvers right up to the North Korean border, and that North Korea is deadly afraid of an attack, of an attempt to overthrow the government by the United States. So, and similarly, U.S. and Russia, some of us here went to Russia this summer because the U.S. and Russia are threatening nuclear war. And NATO troops are right on the Russian border. And we're also doing maneuvers there. So I guess the question is, well, and the one other point you made is that unless our governments will take the initiative, there's not much, at least what I heard, it's very difficult for just ordinary citizens to take the initiative to break through these log jams. But I think the governments are not going to take the initiative. It's got to come from the bottom up. And a friend of mine in Seoul, Hang Woo Lee, is a Quaker, has been getting North Korean and South Korean and Japanese and Chinese, people to lower level diplomats to come together to really talk about things. So I guess the question is, in the face of all the propaganda coming, from our governments, and really the black-white, dividing the world between the good guys and the bad guys, what, from the international law perspective, what do you see citizens can do? And also, I think the women's peace walk this summer, the International Women, or whenever that was last spring, from North Korea to South Korea, was an example of citizens from all around the world saying, we're not going to put up with all this saber rattling on both sides. So the question is, what more can we do in the face of the governments not taking an initiative?
Hello. Maja will have a more defined answer, I guess. But, when you were talking, I was reminded of what I read something earlier about how I think the easy go-to answer is our power of vote, right? And our election power. And I think I see head shaking. I think within the context of American politics, maybe head shakes are they're good. But even within, the South Korean domestic politics also, we see that, 20s or my age group, I guess, in their 20s, they're becoming more conservative. Similar trends here in the United States. And then when you go over to 30, 40, 50s, they become more liberal. And Korean domestic politics, when you become more conservative, the political views against North Korea become stronger, or again, they become more anti-North Korea and anti-unification. So within the context of, I guess, unification, I would say, public shifting young people's opinions on unification, shifting their ideas on how to bring peace to the region is vital in terms of the election turnover. I mean, our elections are in December next year, and so that gives us a year to kind of convince our age group of why it's important to vote responsibly. Yeah, but
Okay, yeah, just briefly, I think there's a lot that citizens can do, and especially through cooperating with other citizens and with NGO civil society groups. And there's a lot of scope for action at the state level, national level, regional level, international level. Because again, with these civil society coalitions that have been developed to push forward international law, they've been unbelievably effective. And in some of, for example, recent policy analysis of the crisis of global governance, why the international community is not moving forward, these civil societies coalitions have been cited as one of the hopes for the further development of the international legal order. And also, I mean, the citizen coalitions, but also the concept of citizen diplomacy, which, for example, Bertha von Suttner was a person who brought another message to policymakers and to government officials. And if you have those one-on-one dialogues, if you're able to do that with politicians, policymakers, they can be very effective if you're shifting the narrative, talking about the aspirations of international law, shared values of the international community. It can be extremely effective. And remember that in governance, all governments are made up of individuals, and they can be inspired by rational, higher ideals, and they are. And I see that in, for example, the treaty negotiations I've been involved in. Individuals from various states around the world respond to higher values. So I think there's a lot citizens can do.
Thank you. I'm sorry, we are on a break here. We'll be breaking from 4:30 to 4:45, leading into the next panel. So you have 15 minutes. Thank you.